Welcome to the event. We're going to really just have a good time, but I want absolute honesty. All right? If anyone get offended, we'll just call them girl. There we go. So right now we have our first panel. We have C.J. Johnson. He's the CEO and founder of Januel and Johnson, a digital marketing and creative agency. He's a father of one, divorced and happy. So are you happy that you're divorced, or are you happy what?
I'm happy with life.
Oh yeah.
And I think the divorce led to that happiness.
Really? How long were you married?
7 years.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And well, okay, we'll find out what happened. And the only white man up here is Robert Barkey. Robert is a jet captain, a black belt, so don't mess with me. A NASCAR driver, and was running a multi-million-dollar company by the age of 24. His latest book, Prayer at Full Throttle, right?
Correct.
Okay. And Tim Alexander is here. Hey, Tim.
Hey, how are you?
Tim is a filmmaker, father, and family advocate. Tim is known for A Diary of a Tired Black Man movie back in 2008. Tim Alexander, Mother's Love. You did a movie about mother's love?
Yeah. The title showed a grandmother who was fighting her daughter because her daughter kicked her husband out and destroyed her family. So the mother's love was the mother trying to get her daughter to not end up single and alone like her.
Oh, I see. Oh.
And so it's really quite deceiving. It actually makes a lot of people cry.
Really?
Yeah.
I was thinking about a mother's love is so precious. A mother's love stays with you until the day you die. Did you know that? A mother's love will kill you. Did y'all know that? Yeah. There was this woman that's an actress, and she would not leave her daughter alone. What's her name? Debbie. And what? Oh yeah, Debbie. Debbie. Daughter died first, right? And so Carol died thinking she'd get away from Mama. Yeah. And Mama said, I want to die. And Debbie died. And can you imagine dying, thinking that you're getting away from your mother, and then you wake up at the gates of heaven and there Mama is? Okay, we are rebuilding the family. For the last 27 years, by way of my nonprofit organization, we have been rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. The worst thing that can happen in society, the worst thing that can happen to a family is not to have the father there or for the father to be weak. And in today's society, like never before in the history of America, men are weak. And we got to change that. No government, no Donald Trump. Donald Trump can make America great as far as functioning, but he cannot make the family great. It's going to take the man. So my first question is to Tim. Tim, are you a man?
Absolutely.
You are absolutely a man.
Absolutely.
And what is a man?
A man, first of all, a man should be grown organically. You know, my father was there, married to my mother, his father was there, his father was there. There hasn't been a broken line of married fathers in my family on either side since 1825.
Wow.
So it's kind of hard not to be a man when you're surrounded by manhood. My father's mother and father have 17 kids. Every one of them is married to their first wife except one who married a lesbian.
One married a lesbian?
By mistake, he didn't know. But anyway, you know, but now he's married again, everything's good. But you know, it's a culture in the Alexander family. I married a woman because I got her a little pregnant. I was out of order.
You got her pregnant out of wedlock?
I got her pregnant out of wedlock. I made a mistake, something I never thought I would do. But
you married
I tried
to a
to
white
fix
woman?
it. No, she was black.
Oh.
I tried to fix it by marrying her. And she made sure it didn't work. Because she came from a broken family. She had gone through all kinds of changes. So my son's now in a broken home. I'm now married. They call my new wife mother. They call their mother mother. They have two mothers, and the mothers get along fine. They're co-mothers. So I'm trying to make sure that I don't allow that break in my family lineage to go past where it stopped here. So being a man is being responsible. You know, I took full credit for my mistake, and I made sure I fixed it. I'm making sure to model manhood in front of my sons because they can't learn it from any place but me.
And so what was wrong with you that you couldn't make the marriage work?
Well, when somebody doesn't want the marriage to work, it's not going to work. She decided that she wanted to figure out if she really loved me or not. She heard that oxytocin was a bonding chemical. So she made sure we didn't have sex for a year and a half to see if she really loved me or not. You know.
She stayed with you but would not have sex with you?
Right, and so...
So she did you a favor then?
But you know, that's part of
That's a
the
good
reason,
thing, right?
The reason that chemical is there is it does bond, and that's a part of what God gave people so they can stay together for 60 years. So if you don't do it for a prolonged period of time, then you break a part of that bond, because most people don't stay friends for 60 years.
So God gave us sex so we could stay with the woman?
If in the proper order, it does help smooth things out.
In the proper order.
In the proper order.
And so you remarried?
I remarried.
Yeah, how long you been married to this
I've
new
been
woman?
married a year now.
Does she have children?
She doesn't have children.
She has no children?
No children.
Not with you or anyone?
Not with me or anyone.
Oh, okay. And so she's a stepmother to your son?
Yes, she's a stepmother. We don't call her stepmother. When the children are with us, they call her mama, and they call their birth mother other mother. When they're with their birth mother, they call her other mother.
Wow.
You know, and both mothers, actually the birth mother said Happy Mother's Day to my wife first, and then she returned it. So, you know, we landed very well. No alimony, no child support. I have the children half the week. She has the children half the week. Clean break.
Did your ex-wife, does she know you have a job? That you're
yeah.
making all these movies?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, not looking for a penny. Actually, the system, there was a zero child support order, and the courts decided I owed $14,000. I was in the rear. They froze my checking account, took my license, and she went down and said, "Leave this man alone. I don't want nothing if you ever bother him."
And she's black?
She's black.
Was she born in Alabama and just didn't know it about her? Or what?
Born in Long Beach, you know, but when you do the right thing, and no matter what she did, she realized that I never did anything incorrectly. It's just she wasn't in a place where she could accept what I was trying to do, because she couldn't accept it.
So tell me again, what is a man?
A man is someone who, above all, knows that his position is to be a rock and an anchor. He has to be consistent. He has to be reliable. He has to have something to direct his life with and have enough left over to make sure that he grooms his family. Even when my new wife didn't understand how to be a mother, I had to make sure that she understood how this family was supposed to work so we can be, you know, a family again. So it's leadership.
How old is your son?
My sons are 9. They're twin boys.
Oh, twins. Okay.
Yeah.
And one last thing about that for now. What made you marry a second time before your sons became adults?
Absolutely.
Why not wait?
Women all the time, not all the time, I've heard a lot of women say, I'm not going to marry or have a man in my life till my children are grown.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, it's the dumbest thing you can ever do. When are they ever going to learn lessons? My sons have to see me mess up, get it right, have an argument, fix it. Boom. How in the world? So I'm going to wait until they're 18 before I get somebody in my life and send them out there to the wolves with no skill set? Then I haven't been a father.
But they already see you mess up with the divorce.
They saw me mess up, they had to see me fix it.
Oh.
If that's the case, I leave them with only the lesson on how to do it wrong and never the lesson on how to do it right. They see me love my wife. They see me help her in the kitchen. They see me go
You help
shopping.
in the kitchen?
I do. I'm a very giving. I'm very engaged. I'm not soft. I ain't, you know. But no, I believe
That sounds
in.
like a house mama to me.
No, it's not a house. It's not a house mama. It's not a house mama. What I do is I know that women are changing, and to get with the women that they're going to get with by the time they're older, you're going to have to learn that nowadays women expect you to be engaged in the whole machine.
And should you do it because they expect it?
You have to, at all odds, at all costs, you have to make peace. I have a very peaceful house. I have a great marriage and a great house, and everything is great
Because
I work for it.
You make sure that there is peace.
Yes, and I told
Okay.
my wife, I run this house. You know, me, you're above my kids because the kids are going to grow up and live their own life. You're one with me. We're one flesh. But I run this house.
Are you
And
the head of your wife?
Absolutely.
Okay.
She knows it.
We'll come back. I got your wife on the phone right now. Robert, what is a man?
What is a man? God created them male and female. To me, a man at his core is a hunter, a provider, a protector, kills if he has to, and will lay down his life for his family if necessary. He is a role model for his son, sets high expectations. And as a preacher, I have to tell you,
You a preacher?
I'm ordained. It's Reverend Robert Bakke to a lot of people.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been my whole life's work,
Yeah.
is to live out the scriptures, to prove that all things are possible. And part of being a man is recognizing that we are all children of a king. And he is a king that is powerful. He's wealthy beyond your expectations and more capable than any of us are able to understand. And we're made in his mighty nature, and there's a call on every one of our lives. And one of the things I've learned along this journey is that a father who hasn't had the guts to pursue his dreams has one difficult time inspiring his son or his daughter to do the same. Now, I don't have any children, but I'll have 2 stepchildren here this fall. When I get married this fall, that's a whole nother subject.
You about to get married
In September,
to a woman that already has children?
yes.
We need to talk.
Well, the daughter just turned 18, but you know, it's been a journey, let me tell you. And,
Robert,
yeah,
don't do it.
yeah. No, but
Robert, Reverend Robert,
yes.
don't do it.
Well, listen, I think we're good. We've been around for 5 years, and
That's what they all think until they put that ring on.
yeah, yeah.
But we'll get back to that. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, but I really want to stress to everybody that God put a call on your life, every one of your lives. The Apostle Paul actually begged you in the Word to live a life that is worthy of that calling, because the Word also says you'll be held accountable to that calling, whether you engage it or not. But I promise you, and my life is a living example of this, and I did it on purpose, is that when you step into that calling, that's when God's power will manifest right through the palms of your hands, and you will achieve things that the world will tell you is impossible. And that example is so powerful for your children to see. And I'll make it real simple. You probably all learned as children that David killed Goliath, but he didn't. If you read that story, here's what happened. David heard a call, just like you've probably heard a call on your life. And when you speak it out, you're going to get laughed at. That's biblical. When David said to a man named Saul, I'll take out the Philistine, you know what happened? Saul laughed at him. But then he did something that everybody's afraid to do.
Make it short because I need to move on.
Yeah. I will.
Reverend,
But he charged Goliath. He ran at the very thing that scared everyone else. And that's when he flung the rock and took out the giant that everyone said was impossible to kill. God works through people.
yeah.
He'll work through you when you answer that call on your life. And your kids need to see that.
So, Robert, you say that we are all children of God,
We are all children of God.
even if they have not been born again or returned to the Father. Are they still children of God?
That's a really good question. The Word says that God knew every one of us before He put us into our mother's womb. So He knows us.
Right, He does know us, but are we all children of God prior to returning to the Father? Repent.
You know, that's a
and
good
be born
question.
again.
I would say no.
So we're not all children.
All right, I'll give you that one.
No, don't give it to me if not true.
Well, but
Because they need to
He
know.
said, you know, give you life and blessing, death and cursing. You have a choice. You have a choice. That's where free will comes from.
So if you have not been born again, are you a child of God?
I'd say you're a child of God who's lost.
A child.
And you need
What
to
do
come
mean?
home.
What do you mean? You need to be born again, right?
You need to be born again. If you expect to see your Father again, you need to be born again.
And so
Absolutely.
until that happens, though, you're not a child of God. Am I right?
No, I think we're all children of God, but we're lost. We're not all saved.
Is Hillary Clinton a child of God?
That's a good point. Hillary Clinton is a child of God, but whether or not she's saved is clearly, that's up between her and God. But
So let me ask, if we are all children of God, why is it that evil works through the children of Satan and good work through the children of God if everybody are children of God? It should be only good working through the people.
well, you do not have to receive Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and you don't have to follow the commandments of God. You can do whatever you want, but all of us were created in heaven and put on earth.
Right.
What you choose from that point on, I guess, you have free will. Do what you want, but Satan works through people just like God does.
I have to disagree. We're not all children of God. Only those who have been repentant and reborn again and returned back to the original foundation, to their Father. And if we're all children of God, we will have peace on earth already. But we don't have it because of that. And that's why God loves us all. He made us all. And He loves us, but not as we are. That's
Right.
why we must be born again.
No, I'll give you that. I agree completely. God put us here, but it's your choice whether or not you're going to live as a child of God.
Right.
Clearly, we're actually agreeing.
I really hate the fact that you use that word free will.
Yeah.
Because I want to jump on that word so bad.
No, well,
Do we have a free will?
We actually do. The word says that you have a choice. You have life and blessing, or you have death and cursing, so choose. So you choose. God isn't going to make you receive Jesus.
But we're already in a fallen state. Adam made the decision by listening to the woman, and so we're in a fallen state, right? But because of Christ, the only choice we have to make and can make is to return to the Father.
Correct.
And after that, there's no more free will. I You can disagree with me. I'm still going to let you and I tight.
Yeah, no, I get it. I still believe we ultimately have the freedom to choose.
Have you ever done things that you wish you didn't do, and you say, I would never do them again, and you end up doing it again?
Yeah,
And you know it could hurt you, and yet you do it again?
right.
Why didn't you will yourself not to do it?
Weakness.
But your will should have kicked in.
Right.
You say you have a free will, so you have the free will to do good or evil, right?
Right. But you know what? But we're still going to sin. I don't know a born-again
Lord.
believer that goes really without sin, and that's why the Word says that we need to acknowledge our sin, and the Lord is faithful and just to forgive us.
Do you still sin?
Yes.
As a reverend, you sin?
Yes.
What do you do?
Well,
Confess your sins.
if you go, if you talk to the sheriff in Itasca County, I'll do 87 and a 55. So sure, we all have lustful hearts and our eyes wander, and
So you lust after other women?
Well, I contain that because we're supposed to take thoughts captive.
Right.
But my point is that all of us are going to sin.
So you still lusting?
After my fiance, sure.
No, you said other women too.
Yeah. Well, 9 out of 10, my
Let's
fiance.
get it on record here, huh?
You notice the sweat
Yeah.
started to break out when he said that? You can edit that out, right? Yeah.
So you still lusting after other women?
Well, no, not on a regular basis, but you're asking what are sins, but
So just this morning, but not for lunch?
yeah, okay, let me give you a great one. I mean, I could be working on my race car and starter fell and pinched my thumb on the concrete, and I probably shot some words out of my mouth that I shouldn't have, which a lot of people happen to hear. And when you're
Cursed?
yeah, I did, real
The
loud.
reverend is cursing?
I did, and my race car says Robert Baki Ministries on it, so I heard about it from a number of people.
So you lust after other women, you curse, and what else you do?
I don't lust after other women, but I mean, every now and then you see a woman, and then you have to take that thought captive, And I have a bit of a lead foot, so I'll speed a little bit.
So let me ask,
Yeah.
have you been married before? This is your first
I
marriage?
was.
And what happened with that marriage?
It was pretty brutal.
She beat you up?
She beat me up. Yeah.
Did
No,
she?
I was in my 20s, married my college
Your
sweetheart.
wife beat you up?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Yeah, emotionally though.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, it was really funny because I really didn't. I'd never been heartbroken before, but we were together for 5.5 years, and out of college we got married, and 5 months later I caught her having an affair with her high school sweetheart, and it was brutal. She said, "I'm sorry, I still love him. I married the wrong man," and she left. And
Wow. Were you a weak man?
well, I got my heart broken. I didn't think I was weak, but it hurt pretty bad. I think because we were 5 months married and still honeymooning, and I thought life was grand.
Right. So were you weak?
I
in
think
that
I
marriage?
was weakened during the time of the heartbreak.
But were you weak during the marriage? And
No,
that's
I
why
don't-
she wanted a real man.
No, not at all. I was
You were
regional
not
karate
weak?
champion and building houses, and no, I don't think so.
So what now?
I said, no, I mean, listen, I was a businessman, owned a business, I was regional karate champion, I was
But yeah, you couldn't
competing
handle-
with automobiles, and I was a pretty good dude.
But you couldn't handle your wife.
Yeah, I know it. And
So you were building houses, but you couldn't handle the wife.
yeah, apparently
That's a
not.
weakness.
Yeah, it could be.
Did you learn anything about yourself from that first marriage?
Yeah, I learned some things. First of all, looking back on it, there were warning signs that I was too in love to pay attention to. Love is blind statement
Yeah.
really hit hard because I faulted myself for not admitting that I was seeing some danger signs. The other thing I learned was I got over her having sex with another man, which seemed painful at the time, but you know what really lingers is the lying. Because when I finally caught him, I realized then in discussions how many lies had gone on along the way.
So which one would you prefer, for your wife to lie to you or have sex with another man?
Well, what I learned was the lying hangs out a lot longer than the sex does.
So the lying hurt worse than the sex?
Yeah, over time, oh my gosh, it took years to get over the trust issue. I'd date other women and they'd say one thing.
Do you have anger?
No, not anymore.
You don't have any anger?
No, I'm a pretty low stress man.
And so you have no anger?
Not at the moment. keep coming though. I'll put a button on my chest. Push it. Yeah.
So you can be made to be angry?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can.
definitely.
So you do have it, it's just that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I'm
bad.
not an angry man, but I can
But it's in
certainly
there.
get angry.
How about you?
When necessary.
So you have anger?
Is this Judgment Day? It's not about do I have anger. I don't feel like anger is something that you just have. There are different emotions, and you use the appropriate emotion at the appropriate time. Do I have anger? If I need to be angry at something, I'm appropriately angry. But that's not what predominates me.
So do you have anger?
If you ask me again, I might.
Is that a yes or no?
Yeah.
I have the capacity to have
Yeah.
anger when necessary.
Okay. CJ, what is a man?
My mind's still on what's going on with him. I think there was like some really good answers on what a man is to me. I think a protector, being responsible, that's what a man is. Also, I think being inspirational is the duty of a man. I know that that's something that I was taught, that I was raised. I was always around strong men from all sorts of ethnicities and all sorts of careers, and that level of inspiration that men can project is a very powerful tool that we don't really discuss as much as we should.
And so are you a man?
Yeah.
You're a man?
Yes, sir.
Do you have anger?
Of course I do.
You do? You just
Yeah.
heard what I said about a man with anger.
There's nothing.
Really?
There's,
Don't admit it.
listen. Be
And
honest.
how
with
did you become an angry man? How did you develop anger? Where did that come from?
Oh wow. Life, culture. Listen. I'm a successful black man. My dad is he's a military man. I was raised in a very strict environment. So I had to fight for every inch. So of course there's resentment and there's anger, but what you just said before, what do you do with that? That's the real question.
Is it normal for a man to have anger? Is that abnormal for men to have anger?
I think
Any
it's-
one of you guys can jump in.
I think
but
it's
go ahead.
perfectly normal for a man to have anger.
And so when you're married, is it normal for a woman to have it?
Yeah.
And so when you're married and the woman is angry and you're angry, how would you solve the problem if both people are angry?
Well, that's the difficult part. One of the toughest lessons that I learned, and this is something that I learned in the process of me getting a divorce, and how to deal with that was patience and love, and this is what I want to say about love for a second. Loving yourself first, making sure that you're happy first, and being patient and being able to understand what the other person is saying. And when there's an argument between a man and a woman, I think it's okay to listen first and then respond. I think it's okay to have an intellectual conversation. I think it happens when you're patient.
But angry people are not patient.
I think all of us inherently have have the ability to step back and calm yourself.
This is so
before it's-
amazing to me. Do you guys agree? It's normal for a man to have anger, or is it abnormal?
I don't think it's normal to carry anger. I don't think that's right.
But is it normal for a man to have anger?
There's
Is
a
that-
difference in being angry and being angry at a instance or situation. Now, to be angry, no. To get angry because something merits being angry at it in order to address it, yes. I think a man needs to control his anger and focus it and only uses anger in a logical sense, because
Yes.
women use their anger in an emotional sense. So I have to control my anger, and I have to guide and redirect her anger until I can diffuse
So
it.
you say yes, it is normal for a man to be angry.
A man,
to have
a
anger.
woman, or both people. People have anger.
And so you're
It's
saying
it's
yes,
an emotion.
Jesse-
It's an emotion that's ubiquitous to all people.
So you're saying yes, Jesse, it is normal for a man to be angry or to have anger.
Why don't you qualify what you're calling angry?
Yeah.
How
I
about
don't know how to
to
qualify
get
it.
angry?
But you
Yeah.
can't just blanket say angry. What is
Yeah.
what are you calling anger?
yeah.
Let's
That-
let's ask him questions.
That's all,
What are you calling anger?
But I agree, because
that's all you guys have.
yeah, well, okay, let me,
What do you have?
okay.
No, what do you have?
And I'm going to get to that in 1 minute, but
All
I got to
right.
get you guys on record. Is it normal for a man to have anger? Is that normal for a man to have anger?
Let's make
No.
it easy on you. Yes.
It's not normal.
No.
And why do you say no?
Because
I agree, by the way.
why would you just have anger? Because that implies that you're carrying it around with you. Now, I think it's normal to get angry because it's a normal human emotion, and God himself gets angry. But to carry anger, to say that I have anger, implies that, quite frankly, I'm mad. That's no way to live. I mean, if you're carrying that, you need...
Is there love in anger?
Can be and should be.
How can there be? Oh, you guys agree with him?
I agree.
Yeah, I think so.
How can there be love in anger?
If my sons are doing something dysfunctional that's going to get them hurt or not make them good people in society, I would get angry about that. Out of love, and I would correct them and I would guide them and lead them using logic with my anger to bring out a best result so we can all grow and all get to a better place.
Every child that is raised by an angry parent or parents are screwed up.
That's not being an angry parent.
And it is. It comes
No,
That's
because
the result of the
Right.
anger you're talking
Right.
about.
There is no love in anger at all.
A child can do
Anger
something
is
that
not
will
of God.
make you angry at that moment.
Not
Okay.
if you don't have anger, they can't make you angry.
You're splitting words. You still haven't qualified anger.
Okay. Anger is the nature of the woman that's made a home in the man. And what happens is when we are children, the whole purpose of a marriage is for the father to be the spiritual head of his wife and children, right? And what he's supposed to do is bring her into his world out of her hell. But because the father was traumatized by his mother when he was a kid, his mother imposed a will on him. He resented that, and as you know, you become like what you resent. So as a kid, you took on the identity of your mother instead of your father. And so you grew up with that anger because the father didn't stand between you and the mother to prevent her from causing that to happen. And since you had it so long, it seemed normal. But it's not normal for a man to have anger. A man is logical. A man is of love. A man guides. A man is courageous. And all angry people don't have courage.
That's not
They
being an
don't have
angry
love.
person because you have a situation where you get angry. That's like me asking you, do you have pee?
Have what?
Pee.
Have what?
Pee. Urine.
Urine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. When you have to pee, you have to pee. Then you get it out and you go back to not having pee. So,
That's not how
if a situation comes up where I need to be angry, then I'm angry appropriately, and I use it correctly, and then I'm no longer angry because it's not my desire to be angry or let anger lead me.
First of all, Don't be speaking like a white man. You have pigs.
Okay, yes, right?
Let me ask, all you guys are Christians?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are you going to challenge that too?
My soon-to-be stepson.
Don't do it to him.
Robert, yeah.
Robert.
No, he's a good kid. But when he disrespects his mom, I mean, I love them both, but when he disrespects his mom, I get mad. I get angry that he's disrespecting his mom, and I need to talk to him and tell him that's not appropriate. And if there wasn't love for the mom and love for him, you know,
ignore it.
I ignore it.
But if you had real love, the love of God, as you should have because you're the Christ in the family, you would correct your wife for causing her son to become that way. The son, he can't defend himself from her. And so she's, with her lack of patience and anger, she's imposing that on the son, and there's no one to help him. So now the son is becoming like the mother, and because you need the mother in the wrong way, you're not able to correct the mother, you're trying to correct the son. Real love would correct the mother, and then the son would see that you are, as his father, are protecting him, and that would cause him to forgive the mother and not become like her.
Well, you know, I would respectfully disagree on part of that. I see him treating the mom the way her ex-husband did, and so he's seeing his biological father. He's modeling the way his biological father interacted with his mom.
Well, maybe the biological father couldn't handle the mother either. She ran him off too.
Well, it could be.
Well, obviously.
I wasn't in the home that often to see that.
Yeah, because you end up marrying your mother. Most guys, 99.9999, not all, but 99.9.999, but not all.
Yeah, but not all.
Marry their mothers.
Yeah.
Because you're attracted to what you hate. And you try to find a woman that's not like her, but and let's say your mother's like a lot of black women, loudmouth, right? And you say, well, I'm never going to have a loudmouth wife. So you look for a little soft, timid wife, and it end up, once you marry her, the day of, after the night of, you find out you married mama again. Because you're not going to get away from it until you forgive. And then God can take that identity away from you, restore your original identity, then you can have the right wife.
Well, you know, I have to commend you on something you just said. I wish we had an hour to talk about this, but when you just said forgive,
Yes.
Holy cow. You want to talk about carrying anger and everything else? There you have it. With the word forgiveness, even Jesus said before you pray, forgive.
That's right.
First.
That's right.
It's a barrier to everything, so huge.
Yeah. So let's move on. Robert is getting married. He's engaged to a woman who's been married before, and she has, how many children?
2.
2 children. Would you recommend he marry a woman who's been married before and have children? Would you recommend that?
I mean, if
Being a man, because you say you're a man, right?
Yeah.
Would you recommend that?
I wouldn't recommend that.
Why not?
Well, because that's a very complicated, chaotic situation to get involved with. But at the same time, I also think that the content of the character, like that means quite a bit as well.
But would a real man marry a woman who's been married before?
Well, my question to you is
You can't ask me a question. The brothers are trying to gang up on me.
I feel like if it's that's a very complicated situation that has to be very well thought out. I wouldn't recommend it, but again, I don't personally know what his day-to-day life looks like.
We know enough already.
And
He
look,
cursed.
I mean, well, he lustfulized.
He curses, he lusts, and he built houses and
Speed,
cars.
yeah.
At the end of the day, like we just discussed anger, but on the opposite spectrum, there's love and happiness. And if he's in love and he's happy, she's respecting him, he's respecting her, and they're taking the appropriate steps. Like, it's not my place to judge, but I wouldn't recommend it just because it sounds like that could be a very chaotic situation.
So would you recommend him not marrying this woman?
I would I would tell him what I told my friend that was in a very similar situation. Bro, you should stop and think about this.
Bro, I should do
Bro,
that.
you should stop and think about this.
Would you recommend
But do
Robert
whatever
marry
makes
her?
you happy.
I would recommend that he marry her, and I want to congratulate
Yeah,
him.
thanks, man.
I sat here and I listened to the quality of this man. I listened to his character. I listened to his thought process. These kids are grown for the most part. This is a sober man who's already lived his life and made his mistakes, and after 35, it's almost impossible to find one without kids anyway.
Yeah, amen, brother.
So I believe that he's walking into it with his eyes wide open and knows exactly where he's positioned, and he's done the work to build the right kind of balance.
Well, I'm not surprised that you recommend it.
And I stand by my recommendation.
Because every man is in hell. He want to bring everybody else in. Now, here's why I would not and Robert is a good guy. I know Robert. So it's not personal.
Yeah.
All right?
Oh, no,
And he shouldn't have done it either. And I'm glad you're not doing it. But the reason a man should never marry a woman with children and a woman should not marry a man with children is because kids want their natural parents. They don't want a step parent, whether it's a father or mother. Inside the souls of all children, they yearn especially for the father. And when you bring someone else in the midst, it causes jealousy and anger. That person you're bringing in stand between the children and the parent, or the parent and the children, and they don't like it. It makes them angry. They don't want, and it doesn't matter how nice you are, how much grocery you buy, how many games you go to, they would never, ever accept a step parent because the soul doesn't identify with that.
Vehemently disagree.
Okay.
I'd like to be right in the middle because we went through a time where I actually knew that family before they got divorced, and my relationship with the kids was fine from a distance. When the mom and I started dating after the divorce, the kids they blew up.
Yep.
And
at that point, you should have backed away.
yeah, you know, the daughter would basically hide, and the son would get extremely aggressive, and I'd get that "you're not my dad" thing.
Yeah.
And my love for her name is Janelle. My love for Janelle is strong enough that I hung in there, and it took a long time, but now the son and I are really tight, and we do a lot of things together. But it was a battle.
Your love should have been for the children and not Chanel.
Well, it's for all of them.
Because the love you have for Chanel is for you and her. It's not about the children.
Yeah.
Because if it was about the children, you would say, you know what, kids, you're right. I should not be involved in this. The mother should wait until you guys are grown and leave the home. If she got to have a man, I'm backing off.
But you know,
And
I
the
would
kids-
disagree with that
and the
very
kids would
respectfully,
appreciate
of
that.
course. But the kids need to see a healthy relationship.
But this is not a healthy
And-
relationship.
Well,
Of course
it's a
Of course it is.
the relationship that she and I have is a far greater model than the model that they had with their biological father, who's had a lot of trouble with the law. The police have been at the home. The FBI has been at the home. It's been totally
Well,
dysfunctional.
once you marry her, they're coming back.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Many people love their
FBI
stepfathers more than their
Yeah,
father.
and the
FBI,
cops are going to
police-
come to congratulate me on having found such a
they'll
good
come and
woman.
arrest you.
Yeah.
Because this woman has not gotten over that hatred for the man she was with.
Yeah.
Many people
And
love
she's
their
going to take it
stepfather.
out on you.
Well, I hope not. She hasn't yet.
No, because she's trying to get you. Wait till she gets you.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the fact that another person should not come between the parent and children? It's hard enough on kids just having one parent. And for strangers to come in and take over like that, it's not good. What do you think about it?
I respectfully, disagree with that.
Okay.
I feel like we live in a world now where it's very complicated, and I feel like when you're talking about love and respect and compassion, and from everything I'm hearing, even in this situation, you're taking the appropriate steps, being very very mature about the process. I think that's necessary.
But it's wrong though.
I don't think
it's
it's
not.
wrong. I don't think that's
It is wrong.
It is
I
not.
don't think that's
It was wrong when you did
A
it.
child has a much better chance with his mother and a great stepfather
No.
than with the single mother.
No.
Because it will not get man
No.
instructions from a single
And
mother.
the reason
We're
that-
talking about building men. How does a
The
woman
reason-
build a man
Amen.
without this man
Bam.
there?
But
Yeah.
the problem
Come on,
is-
Jesse.
Okay, that's a checkmate.
Even though
Come on, Jesse. This is a man. The
even though
boy
you
needs
said
him.
that this boy is, he's accustomed to you now, he likes
Yeah.
you, but his soul is not connected to you. And
Well,
it would never connect. And he's
If that's the
gonna
case, nobody
always,
should
he's
ever
gonna
adopt a
always
child.
yearn for his real father.
But don't you,
And-
but don't
but
you
that-
think if he's
you
a
might-
positive role model?
He'll be nice, he'll
And-
like
and-
him, but he's not gonna accept you as his father.
He's gonna
But
learn by just watching him.
For that kid to grow up to be the man that we're trying to help people become at this seminar, that little boy needs to see what a man does, how a man reacts with a wife and a mother, right down to the difference between a Phillips screwdriver and a straight blade screwdriver and a crescent wrench, and how to change oil and change a furnace filter and change a tire.
And what curse words used when you drop a starter on your finger?
Yeah. It was the F-bomb, and it was really loud, I might tell you.
So you guys agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about these people too. I don't want to just pick on you.
No, I can take it. I'm not easily
And
offended.
I'm not just picking, I'm talking about him too.
Yeah, no.
Come on.
What is love?
What is love?
What is love?
What part of love do you want?
I want to know what it
You're asking a
is.
question this broad, and what answer are you? What area of love are you looking to talk about?
You're the expert. What is love?
Love is an all-consuming emotion. Love is something that's innately put in us because it's in our character to seek to love, whether it's loving God, whether it's loving someone else, whether it's loving ourselves, whether it's loving food, whether it's loving sex.
You love yourself?
Absolutely.
And how do you love yourself?
I love myself because I respect myself, and I respect myself enough to keep myself aligned with God so I can respect my eternity.
And where do you get the love from that you love yourself with?
I don't love myself in any type of a negative way that you're trying to do with your vocal tone, but I love myself
Where do you get this love from that you're loving yourself with?
I get love because we're all given a measure of all the things we need to have, unless we have some kind of a weak mental constitution, to have the tools necessary to, if we choose to use them correctly in the proper balance in accordance to God's word, to be a full-rounded person. Love is something that God put in us so we can use it toward Him.
Where are you getting the love from that you're loving yourself with?
Everybody has a sense of self-preservation. I want to eat good so I can be healthy. I want to live good. I want to be happy. I want to have a woman in my life who I can make happy, who makes me happy in return. This is what I long to be, a full, complete man with a full, complete family.
Wow,
And that's loving myself.
that's amazing. And what is love?
For me, love is giving. And I notice, as a guy who's been single most of his entire adult life, it's easy to get self-consumed. And because there's no one else to give time or attention or stuff to. But I notice that when I'm around people that I really care about, I wrote about it in this last book actually.
Yeah.
I have a godson, and when he was 11, he started coming to me as a father, and the first time I ever actually felt real love was for him, and I just could not stop giving to him. He didn't have a dad, and his name is Robbie. I choke up talking about him because if you've ever heard the term corporate whore, I was a corporate whore until the day that kid changed my heart. And to me, love is giving. It's sacrificing yourself. It's giving your life up for someone that you care about. That's what love is to me.
And what is love?
Well, I was caught in that. Love is understanding. I do think love is also being unselfish.
Do you love yourself?
I do.
And where do you get the love from to love yourself?
The power of God. I mean, I know in my previous situation, I thought I loved myself, but it was actually one of the big issues was that I wasn't as confident in that relationship as I should have been, and it took me at my lowest point to really help me understand my value through prayer, through guidance.
And you say you love God? Mm-hmm. And how do you know you love God?
That's a very complicated question. I just know it in my heart. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
don't think anybody's ever asked me that before.
You love yourself, Robert?
You know, I'm glad you asked me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been able to get my arms around what it means to love myself. I just don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's an honest answer.
That is honest answer.
You're
Mine
too
was
black
too.
man up in line. So what?
My answer is very honest as well.
First of all,
There's more than one answer to
takes
that
work.
question.
so what?
There's more than one answer
There's
to
more than
that question.
To love?
Some people can love themselves, and some people can be unsure, and some people can hate themselves. There's more than one answer.
Love is not hating. When you don't have anger, you have love. When you have anger, you have no love. Now you have that emotional love that comes and goes and is based on how someone treat you or you treat them, what you get in with, but that's not love. Love is simply not resented. Have no anger at all, then you have love. No one with anger has love.
How do you qualify that?
Because God is love. He has no anger. He doesn't hate you. He doesn't judge. He's not selfish.
He does
And-
judge. I mean, look
and
at the
in
things
this
he's done in
fallen
the Old
state-
Testament when he destroyed civilization.
But
He's also a God of wrath.
we in the New Testament now, man.
He's coming for him.
Christ has restored everything. And if men don't return to Christ so that they can live from his nature, and his nature is love all the time. God said to love God with all your heart, soul, and might, along with nothing else. And if you in that fallen state and you have that kind of emotional love, you don't love God. Because you love the world, you love people and places. When they don't like you, you don't like them. When you can't get something from them, you don't like them. But the real love don't require anything from anybody.
And that's the kind of
or
love you have?
anything. Yes. I have no anger. He took it away from me, and I have total peace within for the last 27 years straight up. And I've gone through hell, but I'm better for it because I have that love, which is the nature of God, that causes me to overcome all things.
You haven't been angry in 27 years.
In 27 years. It's not there, it's the spirit. And the way I was able to overcome, he allowed me to see that I had become like my mother, and I forgave her. He
So
allowed,
only women are angry.
well, men are too. There's three of you. But it's not natural though, because how are you going to lead your wife and children if you have anger? As soon as the trouble comes, you're going to freak out.
No, I don't freak out.
Yes, you will.
No, I don't freak
you
out.
You will not be able to stand on a solid foundation because you have anger. But here's what I need to do. I'm going to let each one of you take a minute to close it out. So whatever you want to say in closing, go ahead.
Okay, in closing, I really enjoyed this. I love stimulating conversation and banter. You know, all points of view are valid, even if they seem weird.
That's not true.
I'm working on a film. If anybody's interested, you know, I'm still looking for a few people that want to contribute their stories about, you know, drug use that they've had, experience they've had with prescription drugs or other people they know. You know, I'm also, you know, I have a couple of investment opportunities to try to finish putting the budget together for the film. But it's an amazing project. I really want to do something that affects the culture and affects this country and the world, to open up a big look at this deep, dark hole where $330 billion a year are made off of opioids.
I was the skinniest kid in my school. I was picked last in gym class, called bird legs, not an ounce of self-confidence. All I ever wanted to do was race cars for a living, and no one would listen to me. In college, under protest, I read a book called The New Testament in two translations. The Lord put a call on my life to prove that all things are possible, and gave me a multitude of journeys to take, and I took them. And eventually, 9 years ago, I got into car racing, and we were overcome with miracles. We wrote a book about it called Prayer at Full Throttle, which is how you and I met. God's Word is true. We wrote a book that will show you how to produce miracles in your own life. I got laughed at for self-publishing it. It's a 2-time #1 Amazon bestseller, and it's about to be featured on 3 big networks and reach over 500 million homes. That's the power of God working through a man.
I will say this, that whatever tragedy, whatever really awful situation you feel like you're going through, if you feel angry about something, feel sad about something, make sure that you take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of yourself first. Make sure you love yourself first. Make sure you read scripture. Make sure you surround yourself with positive people.
Amen.
Make sure you reach out to people that mean something to you. Don't ever hesitate to do that. Life is short. Take advantage of it. Chase after your dreams. Don't ever limit yourself. I'm a perfect example of that. I wanted to come out here to be an actor, writer, director, and I did a pretty good job at that. And the person that I was with always told me that I was wasting my time. She told me that I was wasting my time coming to places like this, on forums like this, because why would you want to help strangers?
Wow. Nice lady.
One of the most painful situations I've ever been in was divorcing this person, and we would get into these very psychological battles. And we got into these very psychological battles because she was a behaviorist. She got her master's in psychology. She knew exactly what to say, when to say it, how to say it. She didn't have to say much, really. She just, you sure? You sure? You sure that's a good idea? Well, you know, at the end of the day, it was a good idea. And what happened was, within the first year of me getting a divorce, I did things on my own, and it was very scary, and it was terrifying, and it was awful. And all these people that thought we had a perfect marriage were like, really? You guys? What did you do? I had to suck it up. I had to move forward. I had to change things up. I took away a lot of people that were very negative. That was one of the main things I did. I found new friends.
There you go.
I really paid attention to my family. I reached out to people that I didn't talk to in quite some time. I ended up making close to 6 figures in that first year of starting my own business, which is Januel & Johnson. It's a digital agency. So I make a living consulting and being creative, which is what I always wanted to do. And just the other day, I was invited to a GQ event just to be there, just to say, make a public appearance. And my ex-wife, who I was having dinner with my daughter, she looked at me and she said, wow, the 90s called, they want their wardrobe back. which says what? It means I'm doing so well.
She's jealous.
And she's jealous. And now I'm here. Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah.
You made a comment about what about children that are adopted?
Adopted?
Adopted. They don't have their original father for whatever reason.
mother, yeah.
Can you still make a difference in that person's life?
You were saying that a man or a woman shouldn't marry somebody that has children because the children can't possibly love you and they'll be angry. Well, then how can a person adopt a child? You know how many people have built and molded great people out of children that they adopted? These children weren't angry because they didn't have their real. And
He asked me, is that for me?
he asked.
It's a really good question. And I'm for adoption. The adopted parents can only provide material things. A home, food, shelter, and hopefully a pretty good environment. But the adoptive parent can never fulfill the soul of that child. And so what they should do, if they have any insight at all, is to show that child how to forgive their parents for giving them up. And when they forgive their parents for giving them up, God will forgive them, and then He will reconnect them with Him and make them whole again. They can never satisfy the soul. Only the real Father can do that by way of forgiveness. So they can't fulfill that empty void.
You asked your guest to comment
Yes.
on the gentleman who's getting married, and you asked your guest to give their opinion whether they would advise it or not advise it. How can you advise on something when you don't know both of the parties that are involved?
Another good question. Well, first of all, a man should never marry a woman who's been married, unless the husband cheated or died off. Secondly, his wife was angry at the first husband. And even though he thinks the first husband was all bad, he doesn't realize what the wife did in that relationship too. And because he doesn't realize that, it tells me that he hasn't dealt with this anger that this woman has. And then thirdly, the children don't want a step parent. And they may come to like him, as he said, and I understand that, but they do not want a step parent. They either want their mother to stay by herself so they can get her attention, or don't get married or whatever. They don't want it.
So you don't need to know anything about the other
I already
individual?
know. She said all what I just told you. She's been married before. He said that the husband was a bad guy, but that's a story that every angry woman tell about the husband.
Well, in this case, I knew them
And
both.
you don't hear, but, right, you may have known them, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know what was going on inside that home.
No, but in this case, I knew
between-
them both before they were married, and I've done a business deal with her ex, and I, actually knew
I'm
him.
not saying that the guy
Yeah.
didn't have any problem.
Oh, no, I get
but
that,
I
but-
guarantee you that that wife is held to pay. That's why the son is mad at her, because she's held to
Oh,
pay.
he's not mad at his mom. I'm just saying that every now and then, kids will be kids, and they'll disrespect their mom. I know
No.
I disrespected my mom,
Because
and I paid for it.
Kids give back to parents what parents give them. If you disrespect them, because they have no other light to look at but your example. And so if you treat them that way, they're going to start treating you that way. And that's what I'm saying. Instead of correcting the son, you should be correcting the wife. The fiance, and let the son see you correct her, so he'll learn how to do it too. But you're telling the son he's being disrespectful. Kids don't just be mad at their parents, and they give back to you what you've given to them.
Well, okay, if you're asking your son to do his homework, do your homework. You can't shoot your bow until you do your homework, and eventually you just have to make the kid do his homework because it has to get done because there's school tomorrow, and the kid gets mad and disrespectful. I don't see how the parent is actually responsible for triggering the anger when the parent is just simply trying to get the homework done.
Because she has already driven him to that, with imposing her will on him, trying to make him do this, even as a kid growing up. And you're just seeing the results of what she has already done. Mm-hmm. And she won't tell you, you know what, honey, I screwed up my son. He's doing this to me because I did it to him when you were not around. You just see a kid giving this back, but you don't know what happened to that kid. Because this woman's not going to tell you the truth about herself. She'll tell you about her husband, she'll tell you about her kids, but she will not tell you the truth about herself. And that's what the problem is. That makes sense?
Well, what
That
I'll
has to make sense.
what I can see is early on, when a little boy or a little girl are young, is probably when you need to get them understanding when mom and dad say you need to do this. You have to hold them accountable then, so they learn it early, so that by the time they're 12, when they say you have to have your homework done tonight, they have to already understand that you mean it and that it does have to get done instead of rebelling. I haven't raised kids, but I was one, and I know in my household I had a World War II father, great guy. What my dad said went, and if I did disrespect my mom, I paid for it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I never once got punished by my father when I didn't have it coming.
But my thing is, kids don't disrespect mothers that raise them with love. They don't do it. They just don't do it. It doesn't happen.
So you're saying
It
the
just-
media influence and peer pressure in the media doesn't
No.
affect kids at all? Only their parents affect
It
them?
affects kids who have already been traumatized in the home. It does. Anyway, that was fun, huh?
Yeah.
You guys still like me, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.